Alright, guys, you saw the title of this video. You probably come here. Why? Our season's over. We're gonna lose these next three games, and then we're done, right? 6-8. That's unrecoverable. I'm here to tell you something otherwise. I'm here to tell you. Well, obviously the title said it, but the Seahawks will still make the playoffs this year. That is my prediction, and that is what I believe will happen. Right now, you see they're at a 7 seed. You see, like it's really them in Minnesota, and then everyone else is like a whole tier above them, and then like competing with them are kind of like LA Rams and then the Packers. So right now they're 7 seeds still in the playoffs. If the playoffs started today, we would go to San Francisco and play the wild card game. So you see the Seahawks schedule. We have the Titans, the Steelers, and the Cardinals right after this this gauntlet of games. Dallas, San Francisco, Philadelphia, and then you had San Francisco before. We already lost that. So it's 6-5 right now. I don't see us winning with the way that game was coached, the way that game was played. I didn't have a post game on it because I was at the game itself, so I didn't have time to record it at home. But you saw the way the game was played. I don't see us winning any of these games. I don't care if it's prime time. I don't care if we're wearing the throwbacks next week. I don't see us winning any of these. 6-8, then Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Arizona. I see those as very winnable games. I have to see how Pittsburgh's offense will be playing on the rest of the season without Matt Canada, but I think these are very winnable games. Tennessee is one of the worst teams in the AFC. Pittsburgh they just don't have any offense. Their defense is still solid. And Arizona can sometimes plays excellent, but then they had that game against Houston last week. It's like you don't know what to say. I could see us losing the Arizona game, but I think the way Pete Carroll plays and the way he coaches, I don't see us losing after 5 games. I don't see us extending that streak or adding onto it in any way. So Seahawks end 9-8. Then we have the Packers, which is a team right below the Seahawks currently. They've got KC, New York, Tampa Bay, Carolina, Minnesota, and Chicago to finish out the season. Obviously, we're going to start with a loss, so they go from 5-6 to 5-7 immediately. Then, New York, New York, you're at New York. It's in MetLife, but it doesn't matter. I don't trust Tommy DeVito, even though he did have that good game. 6-7. Then you're versus Tampa Bay, and this is a game that could sway either way. Depends on if Tampa Bay's secondary shows up. I'm going to say they do. I'm going to say they get the win in Green Bay. Many teams have done it this year. I believe in Tampa Bay. I think their offense can fry that defense if they want to. So 6-8. Then at Carolina, you'll win that game. Carolina's the worst team in the league by far. You'll win that game. 7-8. Then at Minnesota, who is also trying to keep ahead of the Seahawks, so they're going to be in full force. You'll lose that game. It's in the bank. You'll lose that. 7-9. And then at Chicago's going to be tanking anyway for a pick, so you'll win that game 8-9. Seahawks are already above the Packers, so that makes them below. Then we got the LA Rams, and this is an interesting one because obviously they held the tiebreak over the Seahawks from that 2-game sweep in week 1 and then week 11. But I don't think they can even pass them either. So right now they're 4-6. And you take a look at their schedule. This is a really hard schedule to finish out. So 4-6 right now at Arizona. I don't think they're winning this. I think Kyler Murray will take care of business. I think they'll drop to 4-7. Then we got at home versus Cleveland again. I don't care who the starting quarterback is for the Cleveland Browns. They are a solid team no matter what. So I will give that game to the Browns, 4-8. Then you're at Baltimore, which needs to stay competitive so they can win that division. Another loss, 4-9. You're already off the Seahawks. Like, you're already below them. I think you'll win against Washington. I think you'll win against New Orleans, and I think you'll win against the Giants. So then you get to 7-9, and then San Francisco is going to be trying to see if Philadelphia can knock down. Same thing as last year, type of with the Cowboys and Eagles. I think that San Francisco is going to try in that game. So, it doesn't really matter. You've already been knocked below the Seahawks. You're 8-9, 7-9. But let's say you win 8-9. The Rams 8-9. So both the Packers and the Rams have ended below. So right now they're 7th. Then the last team we talked about is the Pucks. Now you may be asking like, hey, look, the Falcons have a tiebreaker over the Bucks. They're higher ranked. I don't think the Falcons can do anything. I think their coach is a dumbass. I don't think he knows how to coach. He chooses on purpose to not play his best players. It's like an allergy to him. So I think Atlanta will find a way to end its own season. We got the Bucks. We're currently also 4-6. We got at the Colts. I think they'll lose that game. The way their secondary played against San Francisco, yeah, they'll tear you apart. So 4-7, then versus Carolina, divisional matchup, so it does get close, but I think you'll win that game. 5-7. Then at Atlanta, I think you'll win that game. 6-7, and then I have you winning this 7-7, of course, because of the Packers. And then I have you losing to the Jaguars. So you're 7-8. Jaguars, of course, they need to stay competitive in that division with the Texans. Make sure they get that seeding right because the AFC is still competitive. If you lose one game, you're out of the playoffs. And then New Orleans, I think this is where you lose this game. You kind of destroyed New Orleans in the beginning of the season. But again, it's the Saints. You don't play well against the Saints. Mike Evans hates Marshawn Lattimore. I think you lose this game. There, you're 7-9, and then Carolina doesn't care. They might try. You might lose this game as well. To be spoilers. So even if you win against New Orleans, which is also a possibility, I'm not denying that. You could lose at Carolina. They could be trying to because they don't care. They don't have a draft pick that is reflected on how they play. So they could go all out and try it. I mean, get their Super Bowl in a way. So you could either end up 7-10 or 8-9. Either way, the Seahawks would end up above them because of where they already are. Now, I didn't go into the Vikings because I think they'll have a much better conference record by the time the season's over because of I think the next 3 games the Seahawks are playing are all NFC. So that will go to 5-6. And I'm not sure about the Vikings, but they would have to lose 4 more games that are all NFC, and then they'd have 9 losses by that time. So I don't think that's going to happen. And yeah, that's why. Come back to this video when I'm right in January, mid-January. Yeah, doesn't mean the season was a success. I want to make a disclaimer real quick. That doesn't mean the season was a success. The season was by far very underwhelming. We were supposed to win. Many people predicted we'd win the division. We beat San Francisco at home on Thursday. Still a very flawed season, but with how weak the NFC is, we would still get a playoff spot. I know that doesn't make much solace because it's like you're a 7th seed. You're gonna get your ass kicked by the Niners in the first round. But at least it's like you have one more game fans can watch. And there might not be enough fans by the time we get to that point in the season because, that I don't know how many people can endure like a 6-game, 5-game losing streak and still move on with their team. I don't even think people would want to watch it because like last year we played the Niners on the wild card and that wasn't a very pleasant game. It was for the first time and then, yeah. So I just wanted to discuss. I will go more in depth about what went wrong with this season because I know 6-5. It's hard to complain being 6-5, but I want to go in depth about that. But yeah, so Seahawks fans, don't worry about missing the playoffs.